ik heb ze hier opgezet.
Oh, je hebt ze allemaal.
Ja, ik heb ook net tijdens de lunch gedaan.
Alright.
Should we?
I don't think so, right? Because then I can go.
Yeah.
Oh, she's outside.
I think there should still be someone downstairs, just in case, and then the rest of us should be here.
Yeah. So I'm not sure what Mike is.
Yeah, maybe ask for Mike. Is that? It's 15.
Can we wait a few minutes just to see?
Okay, just, yeah, like 15 more minutes.
No.
The thing is, Dario has to leave.
Yeah, I know.
But I think you have to wait. Okay. I don't even think I need the microphone. Are we good? Okay. Welcome everyone to Leiden University Green Office's first Sustainability Symposium. Thank you so much for being here today. So we've always envisioned having a platform and a space here at Leiden University where we can discuss such an important theme such as sustainability among the students and staff of our community. And in fact, today I think we even have some members outside Leiden University. So without much further ado, I would like to introduce the speaker of our first session. We have with us here today Mr. Dario Fazzi. He's a professor of Transatlantic Environmental History at Leiden University and the Roosevelt Institute for American Studies in Middelburg. And today he will be doing a lecture as well as a very interesting workshop on the role of, well, how virtual reality has been used in environmental education. We invite you on stage. Thank you.
Let me see. Can I just press from here, right? Okay. Okay. I'm gonna speak from here and then move around. I don't mind. Hi, everybody. Hello. It's great to see you all. Can I ask you something to make it very informal? Can I just get rid of my jacket? It will be way better. I'm Italian. I tend to move a lot when I speak, not only with my hands, but also with my whole body. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be part of this workshop organized by Leiden University Green Office. And it's really an honor to be lecturing for our Una.Europa network today. I joined this network recently, and I've been already exploiting a number of crucial and incredibly helpful possibilities and opportunities that are stemming from this participation. For those of you who do not know Una.Europa, this is like a network of 11 European universities that Leiden University is part of. And together with colleagues at these universities, we can do lots of projects together, research projects and teaching in innovation projects like this one. So I'm really looking forward to possible opportunities that can stem from what we have been doing. So the goal for today, if you can go back, is to explain, to show you what we've been doing in the last 2 or 3 years here in Leiden, focusing on environmental democracy, so trying to teach our students what environmental democracy is, how it should work, how it doesn't work, what it takes to work, how it should be improved. And we've been doing this in the context of a very innovative, immersive learning program that started out as a spin-off, as like a byproduct of a virtual exchange that we have been doing in cooperation with the Roosevelt Institute for American Studies in Middelburg and the College of William and Mary in Virginia. It's a program that has been going on for a few years now, and we liked it. Students keep liking it, so I think we're gonna keep doing it. The good thing, and I say this for our colleagues out there, is that all of this came with a very low budget, very low investment from our universities, but the turnout and the success rate is enormous. So it's really, there's the incentive in investing in this kind of programs. So let me show you what this is all about. And if there's something you don't understand, if there's something you want me to repeat, feel free to interrupt me at any time. There will be also an interesting interactive moment at the end of this kind of short lecture, and I will tell you in a minute. But it will be only for you here, not for the people who are joining us online, who are like over there somewhere. So, virtual exchange as an environmental education. This program that we set up in cooperation with William and Mary is a program, it's a virtual exchange program. It's also called COIL, Cooperative Online Interactive Learning Program. And it's been funded with a small grant that was coming for the first time a couple of years ago from the Dutch Ministry of Education. The Dutch Ministry of Education wanted basically to internationalize. I use the past tense on purpose here. It's like the previous Dutch Ministry of Education wanted to internationalize and digitize education at the same time. And one of the main ways through which you can internationalize and digitize education at the same time is through virtual exchanges. So letting your students work on certain assignments with students elsewhere, some other parts of the world. And this can be assignments as different as a research assignment, working on a document, exploring the development of local languages, working with peers, especially language courses have been focusing and utilizing these programs a lot. We've been doing this within the Faculty of Humanities, within a course and program of history, and more specifically, transatlantic history. And we got among the first ones, we were among the first ones who got this grant and got funded. And the interesting thing in this first round of grants was that we were the only ones focusing on the only region there that has no pins, no like little circles, which was Zeeland. It's maybe not the only one, but Drenthe also had some problems, but we focused on Zeeland. And we were very proud that we were focusing on Zeeland because we were working with local Zeeland partners like the Roosevelt Institute for American Studies. And we were proud of this because we were focusing on one of the most marginalized and at the same time fragile ecosystems of the Netherlands. So, and this was part of the whole thing that we did with the students in Virginia. The thing that we did was mostly revolving around environmental democracy, but we wanted to do this. And we decided to invest in virtual exchanges, not only for the contents, so for what we were doing, but also for the shape of it, for what this kind of programs could give to our students. And eventually, after we set up the program, we realized that these programs are useful for three things, for three main reasons. First of all, they can help our universities to achieve sustainable development goals, and in particular the number 4, the one on quality education, because through these programs you can really expose your students to a variety of issues that otherwise won't be tackled by traditional courses. At the same time, through virtual exchanges, through these programs, you can, of course, help your students to develop intercultural skills that are very difficult to develop, especially when you are in front of, for instance, a Dutch-only class, like it was in my case. I only had Dutch students. I was only working with Dutch students, which was great. But at a certain point and at certain time throughout the course, we were missing the kind of advantages that a genuine intercultural exchange among different cultural backgrounds can give you and can bring to class. And finally, we realized that with these programs, what was important and what was possible was to improve students' metacognition or students' metacognitive skills, which means that through this program, students were able to understand, to reflect on the ways in which they think, which was amazing. They started questioning their own biases, their own prejudices, the ways in which their own culture was affecting the way in which they were thinking. And I think that at this time and age, living in this sort of global village, this is crucial. So that's why we did it. And of course, we also did it for the fun. So what did we focus on? We focus on environmental democracy. This is the group of last year. There's unique. One of our students, is also here. We focus on environmental democracy with these two groups of students. And environmental democracy, it's a concept, is an idea that has been assessed, analyzed from a variety of perspectives: history, political science, governance, especially in connection with what it brings to sustainability. It's been criticized, but to its core, what is environmental democracy and what did we want to teach our students for what concerns environmental democracy? It was all about transferring to our students the idea that within democracies, environmental policy making works in a better way when you have three pillars, three elements, three dynamics at play. The first one is participation. Environmental participation, or better, participation or participatory democracy within environmental decision-making processes is crucial. The more citizens play a role in the kind of decisions that are made about their environment, the more likely it is that a sound environmental solution is taken by any kind of public authority. Second, environmental democracy rests on fundamental basic environmental rights that need to be recognized, need to be protected judicially and juridically by democratic systems. This is a crucial element of environmental democracy. And finally, another crucial element of a properly working environmental democracy is awareness. how much citizens know about environmental issues. And this is connected to environmental information, to the availability of correct and sound environmental information, to the exchange, to the free exchange of environmental science and environmental information, and to the ability to understand, to correctly process and understand this information, which is, if you want, where universities play a crucial role. We aren't only training students, we are training the citizens of tomorrow who will need to understand complex environmental dynamics in order to play a crucial role within environmental democratic systems. So this was the things, our challenge, what we wanted to teach our students. So how we did it? We did it over the course of 5 weeks. I mean, it's not that it is like this is the only way in which you can do it. This is how we did it. And in a way, it eventually worked. The good thing of this program is, again, that it didn't require the creation of any extra course, of any extra credit. We did not ask for any accreditation, any new program, nothing. This was just an assignment within one of my courses. So rather than asking my students to prepare a PowerPoint presentation, present it, and then forget about it immediately after, and losing the attention span of the rest of the class immediately, we set up this program which counted eventually for 30% of the final grade of my students. And this is something I want to stress because this is crucial for possible cooperation in the future. You don't need too many things. You just need a course that is already there, set in place, and you can integrate these assignments quite easily. And over the course of 5 weeks, which we organized through the use of like an accessible platform, in this case it was Google Drive, we organized a series of activities that students were engaged with. And these activities were both synchronous, so there were moments in which students were all working together online, students from Leiden and students from Virginia, and moments in which these students weren't working in a synchronous way. So they were exchanging emails, creating WhatsApp groups, exchanging information in order to do their own common assignments. And they found all the instructions they needed here in what became our common platform, our virtual classroom. So which were these activities? We started with an icebreaker. You know, when you have a group of students from Leiden and a group of students from Virginia, people who have never met each other, right? They don't know anything about each other. The very first thing you do is a round of introduction. Who are you? But these online can be tricky and can be boring, right? You can just be waiting for your turn to say your name, who you are, what you're doing, what your interests are, and that's it. We wanted students to start immediately reflecting about the contents, the reasons why we were doing this. So we asked them to prepare a 1-minute presentation about something of their own life that related to water. And that could be like a stroll, a family holiday, something you like to do with water, on water, for water, something that, you know, in a way, the ways in which water has been characterizing your life. Why did we do this? Because water is essential for our life. You know, we depend on that. And because it's all the more essential for the kind of communities of students we were working with. These were students from the Netherlands, literally a country built on water, or, you know, reclaimed from it. And so is the Chesapeake Bay in Virginia, which has a very delicate relationship with and balance with water sources. And this worked out pretty well. In a way, we broke barriers, communication barriers, immediately, because students realized that the emotional feelings, the way in which they were approaching water, is universal. So this helped. Immediately after this assignment, we asked our students to reflect on what is, for them, environmental democracy. And this was done like over the course of the first week. So what is, for you, environmental democracy? How does it work? We did it with what we called at the beginning like a questionnaire, which was also a brainstorm, which was like a little survey. We were doubting whether or not to use the NEP, the New Ecological Paradigm Survey, which then we used on another target group of students. But eventually the idea is to test the previous knowledge that the students have about these dynamics. So to see if their knowledge, their idea, their understanding of environmental democracy really changes after the course, right? And this wasn't graded, it was something that the students just did. And we let it rest there. Then we moved to the other assignment, which was one of the core elements of this course, which, if you want, puts our students in front of the dynamics of the workings of environmental democracy. One of the main things that we wanted our students to understand is that when you are confronted with ecological challenges, when you have to make a choice about environmental crises and environmental challenges, there is never an easy solution. You always have to negotiate among different interests, among different stakes, among different positions and options. And how do you teach this in a way that is immediately effective? We did it through our role play, an environmental game that we played online. So we took this game online from Harvard University's website. It's freely available, doesn't cost anything. And it basically simulates a crisis in a river ecology. So it was very much fitting the kind of territories we were working with. There is a river. The river is getting drier and drier every year. The community wants to preserve the inflow of waters in this river. How do we do it? So we provided the students with the storytelling. We set up the user experience scenario. So we basically divided the students into the several groups. And these groups were as diverse as governor's office, the federal government, a native tribe, an environmentalist organizations, water suppliers, farmers, irrigators, urban dwellers. So these were all conflicting interests. Each one of these groups had a different interest in the water of the rivers. There were those who really wanted to protect it for fishing. There were those who wanted to protect it for recreational purposes. And there were those who needed to keep consuming the water of the river for irrigation and agricultural practices. So the idea was to set up, again, this environment and let the student negotiate a solution. How do we solve this problem? How do we preserve the sustainability of this system? The students complained here a little bit that the time was a little bit too constrained. They needed more time to read the appendixes. Some students also tried to work, around the rules of the game, reaching out to other students via WhatsApp, creating secret negotiations which were parallel to the official ones. But eventually this worked. The students really appreciated the idea that was at the center, at the very core of this experiment, that it's only by renouncing a little bit to what are your main interests, that you can really achieve a compromise and a solution that is effective and can be balanced for everybody. We had a couple of groups each time playing this game, and not every time we reached an agreement. So we were able also to investigate the reasons why we didn't reach an agreement in those instances. And in order to do this, we invited all the students to Middelburg, including the students from Virginia, both last year and this year, to talk about, what it means to play with environmental democracy and how does environmental democracy work at play. They liked it. It was an experience that has been enriching in many ways, to a large extent, has been helping our students to understand how difficult it is to sometimes go beyond what your main interest may be. Also going beyond your own imagined reality, to go really to the core of the interest at stake. So this was like the first part of our course. The second part then got more into the immersive learning environment. These are like some random feedback that we got from the students after the role play. And as you can see, they all liked it, and they especially liked the ways in which the role play helped them to develop a better understanding of environmental democracy, so how it works and what it means. What we did then was to focus more specifically on these ecologies, on the ecology of Zeeland and on the ecology of the Chesapeake Bay, and we compare them in a transatlantic way, because these are two deltas, right? These are two deltas that are affected by similar problems. And even just by realizing these, the students understood that what sometimes looks like a local issue is never fully local. It's always interconnected. It reverberates and it plays in exactly the same way, even miles and miles away. So for instance, we talked about issues that were affecting delta ecologies as diverse as salt intrusion, sea level rise, eutrophications, wildlife loss. And they realized, well, this is not a problem that is happening only here in Virginia, we see it, but it's exactly the same problem that is happening down there in the Netherlands. So what shall we do? How do we cope with this problem? How do we develop a better understanding of this problem, a culture that can sustain a sustainable governance? That was the challenge. And we said, okay, this is all fine. It's great that you got it. They got it out of discussions, but we wanted them to work on this issue, to experience this issue. Also because, our students, perhaps even ourselves, I don't want to say that this is just something that the students do, but we live in an age in which we learn more and more by experiencing stuff, not just by reading it, right? We watch videos, we go to events. Reading is one of the ways through which we relate to the world, but it's not the main one, not anymore. I see this in my students. So everything that can engage them beyond pure reading is fine, is okay. So we crafted this sort of research assignment, in a way forcing them to read anyhow, but in a more interactive way. We decided to focus on the risks that were affecting these areas, these ecologies. Now, risks is like a concept that, again, has been developed, but the risk allowed us to focus both on the hazards, on the threats that these communities are confronted with, and also on the responses, on how these local communities perceive their own vulnerability, their own exposure, and they reacted to it. So we wanted the students to analyze both the ecological challenges and the responses to these ecological challenges that at the local level were designed in order to have the complete picture. And to make it even more concrete, we divided the whole class into 10 different categories, representing both ecological challenges, sea level rise, climate change, salt intrusion, toxic contamination, but also positive strategies, mitigation, restorative strategies, or if you want, ecological solutions to these ecological challenges, like investment in wind farming or in aquaculture, sustainable aquaculture, so forth and so on. We produce short clips, like knowledge clips that we made available to our students through the drive, in which we were introducing very briefly in a couple of minutes each one of these issues. And along with that, we gave to the students a reading list, series of materials that they could consult in order to do more research into the issues that they were assigned. And both students from Virginia and students from Leiden were working together on these issues. And they were exploring the ways in which their own local community was dealing with each one of these issues. They did this research for 1 week, then we met in class and we asked the students to identify these places on a map. You have done your research, you know what is the issue, you know what has been the solution, show us where this has been happening. Working on a map has given them the possibility, the opportunity to immediately visualize, to identify the places of bigger ecological challenges and urgency, if you want. Together, they identify over 140 locations in the first year. In the second year, if you want, they identified like 91 locations in total, with 56 new ones compared to the first year. And if you click. This is what we asked our students to do. For each one of these pins, of these points, the students selected a picture or a video, wrote a story. They had to write the contents, explaining you what's happening there. They even selected the icon. So, for instance, in this case, it's like toxic contamination. They had this icon of a tiny plant there, and the whole explanation of Dow Chemical. I remember Nick working on 3M in Antwerp, or toxic in this group too, right? So this is what they did. And in this way, they immediately realized that the infrastructures were the same. The issues that were affecting these communities were really part of a broader global problem that required a global understanding to be taken. So we said, okay, why don't we take this even further? Why don't we move from mapping, what we do with Google Maps, to something that is more complex than just mapping, digging deeper into these ecologies, extracting data, comparing them really in a granular way, in a way that is really meaningful to create an immersive learning experience. And then the students told us, yeah, you know what, but we should graduate soon, and the time is running out. So this is for you, teachers, to innovate and to take the program from this point onward. And this is what we did. We used all the contents that the students had produced, all their research on the maps. We had this data set of places and locations both in Zeeland and in Virginia that the students had been researching, highlighting, the ecological challenges and the policy responses to these ecological challenges for each one of these places. So what do you do? We went to some of these places and we started filming. But before doing this, because we said, okay, we film these places, and we film them with 3D cameras, okay? But we wanted the students first to give us a presentation of these places, and this was the kind of thing that we were able to do online. And I don't know if it works.
When the groundwater is contaminated, when the pollutants on land seep into the aquifers, this affects irrigation and industry uses. So this also harms potential economic development initiatives in that area.
So this is what we did at the very last meeting with the students. We asked them to present on the maps that they had created, and while they were speaking, we were moving on the maps with Google 3D, which already looked like a short documentary. If you go on, there is like another example. This is on the Vierte Meer.
So it's an important freshwater source for the area. So it's located between the North Sea and freshwater sources in Zeeland. So it helps to filter out some of the salt and prevent it from entering freshwater systems. So it's sort of a buffer for salt.
And this one is from Virginia, actually, which was...
And this facility not only caters to the demands of every continent in the world except Antarctica, it also supports the worldwide food supply chains through an extensive distribution network. If I'm right, it has a operational logistics, includes a fleet of 12 barges just used solely for its inter-facility transportation, and it could serve up to 100 barges a day.
This is already quite engaging, right? And it was really a pleasure to see our students presenting online on something that they had done, they had produced through the help and through the use of this kind of technology. It was way more engaging than a classical PowerPoint presentation in class, I can tell you that. But then we said, well, this is too good. We really need to use it in a way or in another. So we really went to some of these places and we filmed them. And we used the contents that the students had created to produce 3D videos that, if you want, after this presentation, you will be able to watch. Thanks to the help of Victor and all of our friends at the Digital Lab at the Faculty of Humanities, we were able to, well, first go to Zeeland, take the footage of some of these places, like the most interesting case studies, the ones that the students had been liking the most. We also asked them. And then we couldn't ask the students, or we couldn't use the audio from the students, from the students' presentation, so we had to do some sort of voiceover. It's still a beta version of it, but ideally, this is what the students will be able to create on their own later on, to share also these videos on the maps that they have created, and providing students everywhere else in the world like immersive learning virtual tours of these places, of ecological challenges and ecological responses. By the way, Google Earth Pro is also now starting offering time lapses of these places. So you can, for instance, focus on the Port of Virginia and see how the Port of Virginia, this crucial infrastructure, has been changing from the 1980s onward. That's our goal, to create like time capsules through the work of the students, also because we work in Institute for History, so that's nice to have this kind of history bit in it, and preparing perhaps in the future virtual realities, or better augmented realities environments in which you have, like for instance, a building in front of you in your video. You can click on that building and then you have the story that the students have produced explaining you how that particular infrastructure has been changing the particular ecology of that place. This is the goal for which we have been granted another grant from the Dutch Ministry of Education, and it's on our to-do list for the future. The students really like this experience. We had several workshops, several sessions in which we developed these videos. We selected with Victor 3 of them today, one on Vire, so this very peculiar little village well, it's a town, yeah, in Zeeland. And it's important because this video shows you how touristic infrastructures and economic infrastructures in the region are really balanced in a way that water and water sources is preserved in an ecologically sound manner. And then we have Zandkreek Dam, which is a crucial point of connection between the Viersemeer and the Schelde River. And it helped our students in Virginia to understand that they are not the only owners of big infrastructures in the world. I don't know if you know about this, but the Chesapeake Bay Bridge in Virginia is one of the longest ones in the world. They think that it's like one of the most important infrastructure ever done by human beings. But here in Zeeland, you have quite some interesting examples too, including investment on wind farmings like in Bastseberg, which if you want, you can all visit today from here with the help of Victor right after this lecture. The students loved overall the experience. At the end of the course, we asked them to reflect on what environmental democracy was for them. And most of them said something like this: my view on environmental democracy grew significantly. It changed because I understood how others think about it. I understood how complex and delicate this issue is. They liked especially the map-making activity because it was hands-on, because it gave them the immediate idea that they were working on the field, even if they were actually working online. So with this, we said, okay, we are doing perhaps the good thing. We are achieving the learning goals that we gave ourselves at the beginning. We are satisfied. We will keep doing it, and I hope that people will join us in the future. Thank you. I hope I managed to stay within the boundaries of time.
Yes, of course.
I would be happy to take any question if you have. Yes.
During the discussions between the students in the role-playing game, you said they formed secret discussions.
Yeah.
And I thought, isn't that also kind of realistic?
Indeed, it is. Yes. I mean, to make this even more realistic, we would have had to allow even bribes, some sort of corruption. We didn't cross that line. But we told our students that, we shared and spread among the whole group the general guidelines a couple of weeks before. And then we gave each group the confidential instruction 1 week before we played the game. So in this way, students had a sufficient amount of time to really understand what was the main interest of their own group. And also, they started, doing more research in order to make their position stronger. Especially this year, we noticed that in that week, rather than just reaching out to the main counterparts or convincing the native tribes that this was on their advantage too, what they started doing was to use science. So science that wasn't provided to them with the general guidelines or the confidential instruction in order to make their argument more solid or more rational. So they started doing extra research, using extra data in order to sound more convincing. And what they did last year, you have a student here who was like the mastermind of this, Nick, reached out to fellow students in Virginia. They didn't really like it because they thought this was kind of bordering cheating. But in a way, this is how it works, right? People create subgroups, subcommittees. They create informal discussion that are crucial for the kind of negotiations that we were working on. So we didn't interfere. The role of us as teachers was very minimal. We just gave the instructions and watched them at play. And it was excellent to see it. You're welcome. Yes. Democracy.
Altogether with the students and like learning a new vision and a new way of interesting it by yourself?
Yes. I mean, I did it in a way that is more pragmatic than you think, in the sense that we had lots of discussions on the theories and practices of environmental democracy, but I gave this course, this exchange, within an existing course that is called Democracy in Action. And it is a historical exploration of all the paradoxes and contradictions of American democracy. So the most important reflection I had with my students in this regard was how the United States has been really an example of these contradictions in dealing with environmental policy making. How you can, for instance, and this is something I understood mostly from this course, you can consider the development of the United States as a country, as a nation, as one of the main factors of the great acceleration of climate change. All of this is happening mostly because we adopted the American way of life. And at the same time, what's happening there, like the Green Office and activism and the advancement of grassroots environmental democratic issues, protests and legislation, is also byproduct of the United States, of the advancement and the strengthening of American democracy. It's in these conflicts, in these paradoxes and contradictions that we should find our reason to study and know more about the functioning of democracies. And this is like a privilege, a luxury, because, autocratic regimes don't care. They have the luxury of just not caring about this kind of things, not caring about citizens. They decide, they go on. But with democracies, this is even more delicate, more complex. And that's why we need aware citizens. And that's why we need good universities to do this. Good international universities. Stress. You're welcome. Nick. Well, we decided to focus on an issue that is per se interdisciplinary, right? So that allows students from different backgrounds and different programs to join, right? You don't really need a technical background to do this kind of program. You could make it possible or you can tailor for students, for instance, studying environmental sciences and going deeper into GIS, for instance. In a way, this was also something that was affected by the composition of our counterparts, of our partners. In Virginia, it's a liberal arts college, so you had students studying marine sciences with philosophy, politics and governance, and history. So it was a very composite group. Our idea, rather than expanding the pool of students here from Leiden, even though this is open to anybody, we've been having students joining us as auditors, not for the credits, and we welcomed anybody. But now we are moving to expand the international partnership because we want to focus on places and on communities, on localities, on ecologies that are at the forefront of climate change, of climate challenges. So we want to work, for instance, with Tulane University because it's in the Mississippi Delta. that toxic contamination, for instance, is a daily issue. We want to work, and we are planning to work with the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley, because it's there, it's in the border region between the United States and Mexico, that phenomena of environmental injustice are replicated on a daily basis. We are working with Emory University in Atlanta, because Black communities have been suffering from ecological exploitations for the longest period of time within American history. And we really hope to work with all the partners we have within Una Europa, because even in Europe, the extent to which our own environmental democracy is working needs to be questioned, needs to be revamped, needs to be at the center of our academic investigation. So that's how we want to expand it. It's ambitious, I know.
This course was within the curriculum, history stream?
Yes.
Was it an elective?
No, I mean, it was, I think it's called BA3 Werkcollege. So this is how like our bureaucracy calls it. It's a third-year BA seminar that is elective within the program in Algemene Geschiedenis, so in general history. We had 15 students, roughly. It's an elective for them, but it's mandatory for students, for instance, taking the pre-minor track in North American history. So for the students who want then to follow up with the MA program in North American history. And we also created it as a research workshop, so as an ad hoc seminar. If you go to the Leiden's prospectus, for instance, you can find it as a research workshop. But in that way, we only got like 5 students who were interested in doing this as a separate course, because it's short, it's difficult to manage the number of credits, and I think it's also perhaps too innovative. I mean, students don't really know what to expect from these courses. So it works better when it is integrated as an assignment or sets of assignment within an existing course. And this could be applied to university colleges, to regular courses across the board, really, which is what we hope to do. I mean, the path is there, the pattern is ready. So everybody wants to do it. We are more than happy to share the Google Drive and then let any colleague explore, improve it, do it, change it, modify it. It's flexible, and it's also the nice thing of these kind of programs. I think I will be working on this for like a couple of years more. Then I need to take a rest, because it's been also challenging in terms of time. It's been a huge investment to manage all of this with traditional learning. That is the issue. But I had fun, so I didn't mind.
But it's still on board for 15 students.
Indeed. But again, it's I think it's a lot of work when you set it up. So the designing phase was like the longest and the most difficult one. But once it was set up, now we've been doing this for 3 years, and it goes on almost automatically. We even had a teaching assistant this year, so we instructed her. We didn't do anything. It was just the students who worked together, and it was great. It was really great. And we worked with groups that were as big as like 5, 6 students, or 15 students, 20 students, 40 students. We worked also last spring with another network of universities that included a university in São Paulo, Brazil, the University of Essaouira in Morocco, and the Navajo Tech University in New Mexico in the United States. And we all worked with water-related issues. And the group was, I think, in total like 60 students. But we worked with different time zones, so they were never there at the same time. But it worked. It was fun. Our students learned a lot anyhow, so that's good.
In that case, if there are no further questions, I would like to thank you once again.
Thank
for
you. It's
presenting
been
on
great.
Such an interesting project. Perhaps you can give a little
Thanks a
round
lot.
of
Thanks a lot.
applause.
And Victor is there. If you want to watch the videos, feel free to approach Victor. We have like 2 Oculus sets. So, and each video lasts for like 30 seconds, 40 seconds. So it's like very short, immersive experience. It's fun. So if you want to have a glimpse of what we've been doing, feel free to do it. Thank you. Bye.
I'd like to give a little gift.
No way, you shouldn't. Thanks a lot. Thank you. This is
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Yeah, so those who are interested in the experience, feel
Yeah.
free to walk to Victor over there.
Yeah, this one, so I can talk to the...
Maybe check on the like, I'm not sure exactly, but I think they said they changed it.
Okay, I'm just going to make a quick thing about the time again.
Yes.
So just about the timing, so this session ends around 2:15, after which we'll have a short break of 10 minutes before heading into the next session. Thank you.
But at the same time, all you need is a computer. That's all. It's not. We even work with Sweden, right after they have. So and they managed to do it on. So even though the university was closed, and the buildings were shut down, they had an internet connection to the students can join. What did you choose for the water? I mean, this is partly related to our own research unit. Okay. So this is what we do.
That's very, it's very nice because you can find
Yes, it means
connecting factor.
the main element of climate change and climate change is water. Now, for us living in the Netherlands, this is natural.
Yeah.
But that's why, for instance, we went to the Monument Valley in the center of the Utah Desert in the United States, and we took footage there because we want our students to understand what it means to live without water.
Yeah.
And it's this kind of
very
exactly. I mean, there are people there now, people who have to drive for 6 hours to get there on this. And this has created problems throughout the years because these were miners who were using contaminated water for their daily purposes. And our students learn a lot from these kind of different relationships. So we are convinced that this is
These interactive maps, they're just stacks of older maps on top of each other for years.
Yes, well,
Because,
that's amazing. That's something you can do with Google Earth.
But when I look at Google Maps, you go into your own street and you see different time maps and so forth, or you see your old car and suddenly you see your mother.
Yes, but you can do this now also with infrastructure.
So that's
How
bigger.
our harbor has been grown. Or how a river has been shrinking. This is, I think.
But it's accessible.
It is accessible. Okay. It's free accessible. But what we want to do is to let the students, produce contents that then we can embed in these videos. Because with the videos, then you don't need even Google Maps. You just have in one file, you are there. And for instance, you see Dow Chemical International, you can click on it, and then you have all the things that the students have been researching about that, all the issues at stake. And you are there in that place. Now, the added value of this is that this is how students learn. If you ask them to read something about Dow Chemical International,
it's two worlds. It's nature and it's I have the information.
And at the same time, you can take students from everywhere in the world to Terneuzen. And this is sustainable, right?
You don't get into trouble if you mention 3M when you do.
Not yet. Maybe I will.
No, it's a big important issue. People are this will take years and years before it's resolved.
But that's what we try to do. I mean, the more our students understand these things, perhaps the better we'll be in the future.
And then the big issue of cooling in data centers, which is a topic which is
especially with AI
as well. I know. Because they want to be here because they say here.
Actually, I have a flight to take today at 5:30. I'm going to go to Toronto in Canada, where I have a presentation precisely on that, on the cost of the US technological empire. I mean, Google released its data back in 2021. It's 3.6 billion freshwater resources used every year.
It's a big issue because they want build big data centers in Groningen. And that's environmental very pushing.
And with the increase of AI, this
interesting
Thanks a
stuff.
lot. And
Thank you.
Do you teach here?
No, I teach at the Hortus Botanicus, so I'm doing all kinds of natural things. It's for smaller children. So that's what I do. But I like the way. It's
great to see you.
Yeah.
Great to meet you. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
And if you want the presentation, just send me an email. And I will the email is One question. Is it possible to take photos?
will just ask someone. Sorry. Is it possible to take photo for us?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Why the logo of university? If you want, also you can join. Take
Yes,
photo.
let's have a group picture. I like
Yeah,
it.
you can join. If you want to take a photo.
Oh, she wants to take.
But it's possible with the logo of university and. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
University logo.
Why not?
Yeah, this is for the education of other
Thank you.
Dankjewel, have a nice one.
Everybody loves pizza.
Can you do that? Not the last one, but one just before we Dag, see you around. Bye bye.
This one?
No, not the last one, but before.
Oh, yeah.
So,
You're welcome. You're welcome. Sure thing. I love anything that brings new concepts. We sanitize a couple of videos. Very stupid. Very stupid. Punching each other. Saying bad words each other. It's something there is like a photograph. I've been doing this in the Monument Valley too. That's another experience. That's awesome. You're welcome. Guys, have fun with the rest of the work. Oh, really? Okay, I have some pictures then of you. We saw you at the when we dropped off at the Abbey. Oh, really? Wow. Thanks a lot for your help. It's been a great tour. We will keep doing it. As a matter of fact, our students are coming back to England today. We will have way more involved. We'll put it on you now. We'll start live for them. Oh, right. Okay. Oh, really? Really? What? That sounds great. That's the kind of transboundary dynamics. Yeah, I mean, once we work with the IOS convention, that's our starting point. And that's but then we know, like, the VAs, the landscape, who have programs for UMA, graduate school PhD students. So, there are many ways to do this. So, you can, if you want, I'm gonna go to Toronto. Flying over now. Yeah, I won't be there. But enjoy. Yeah. Have fun. Hey, see you around.
So for everyone that's still joining, if you could please take your seats, then we can get started soon. All right, so for the next section, we're going to talk a bit more in depth about the kind of the progress and some of the challenges that we still have at Leiden University. So we're going to look at specifically, about the respective departments in Leiden University. And these will be represented by Esther Kenton at the law faculty and Aranka from Vastgoed. And we will look at kind of what I already mentioned, so the projects that are ongoing, but also some of the challenges that we're still facing and how to move forward from this point onwards. So I would like to welcome Aranka to the stage first.
Thank you. Wait till I tell something. My name is Aranka Vierach. I'm from the Real Estate Department. I want to try you something about what we do in the Real Estate Department about sustainability. It is a lot, it is complex, and we try to involve students in it, living labs, also to learn more and to get more feedback from everyone in the university and around, and from the research department also. I want to tell you the real estate department is responsible for the buildings and for the ground we have as university. But I want to tell you in 5 themes something about the sustainability and how we interact with these things in our responsibility. The first one is the energy. Is it visible from behind? Okay.
There are also smaller screens.
Okay, yeah. When we are working on energy, it's the most complex thing to work and to be climate neutral in 2050. It's really about the buildings. They use a lot of energy, and we have to make them future-proof in between these times. So we make programs 10 years ahead, 20 years ahead, and it's really about the next one. Isolating the buildings, doing something about the ventilation, doing something about the way we warm or we cool the building, doing something about the lighting in LED, and that sort of things. The second thing on the upper figure is we try to reduce the natural gas use. So the fossil fuel gas we still need to warm the buildings. That's the next graph underneath. It shows how we want to reduce the natural gas use, and well, we have to go to 0, but that's very hard. We have still some buildings responsible on using gas to warm the building, and when you want to renovate the building, you need to get the people all out to be somewhere else. So we need a building to change everything. So it's really complex and hard to make a program and a route to get the building free and to work on it. But the way we do at the moment, we can nearly the red line is the line we want to be in 2030. And then we use in 2030, well, something like, it was, I think, 75% less gas already. So it's going really fast still. But we hope we can really do this because well, the money is getting less because, but well, we hope we can perform like the graphic before. The energy we use, we also have the CO2 reduction, the CO2 emissions. We want to reduce them, like the climate protocol we all have. And when we reduce the gas and reduce the electricity, the way we plan at the moment, we do more than what is expected from our department. The energy use of the buildings, we call it, we have 3 scopes for CO2 emissions, and scope 1 and 2 are really from the buildings, the gas use, the electricity use, and so on. So that part, the real estate department is responsible for to reduce this to 0. And at the moment we are planning, the green ones is done already. We are in 2024, and the grey one is what we think we can manage. And also there, the red line is the red line where we are going to work to. So then it's 65% less CO2 emissions at that time. No, back. Sorry. The scope 3 is very underestimated. We don't have all the registrations to know how much scope 3 is. And when the real estate department is reducing scope 1 and 2, scope 3 is coming enormous in the picture because that's the one who is still there. And it's about the catering, it's about the waste, it's about the commuting traffic, it's about flying, all these things. The real estate department doesn't have influence, so that's really about the faculties doing, changing things in their process. Maybe if you have questions, please ask them in between, no problem. Then the circular building. Circular building is about the materials we use, because the materials, they expect that we don't have the materials we use at the moment. It will be, well, they expect 10 years and then it will not be there anymore. So it's really fast. So they want also us to make a circular economy, but it's very hard in the real estate. They are very conservative, but the university is doing well. The building you see underneath was 2017. It was one of the buildings we demolished, and we put every materials apart. And there was a lot of reuse of the iron. They used it in Biopartner 5, maybe you know it. It's on the Leiden Bioscience Park, just 700 meters away from this building. And all the iron was used over there. And then we were far in the demolishing, and they said, stop, stop, stop. And then they said, stop it over here. We need a parking facility for the bicycles. So they stopped over there. So we have a demolished part from this building already standing 6 years near the disc you see in the middle. At the moment, we are making really a bicycle park from it, and it should be on the first floor, the bicycle department, and then on the second floor, it's going to get a green. How do you call it? Now, they will make it green, and the biology department is going to work with us to bring it in a green looking and doing. All these tellings about circular building, we have a lot of these anecdotes, but we have to change and we have to measure it. That's last 2 years, I think the real estate department changed. And at the moment we are using a building circular index to do some measurements. It's really complex how they count. So I don't tell you that, but it's about, first think about reuse. Then if you can't reuse it, then recycle it. And if you get in materials, new materials, try to use the bio-based materials. You can always make new again. And what's also very important is that we make it all releasable. So no lime or things. We also we all have to make it loose again to be able to reduce it in the future. So the next one. This year we delivered the new building Herta Moor. It's at the Humanities campus in the inner city. This building, we use the building circular index also to make some counting. How do we do now? And it's 44%. So all the new materials coming into this building are already 44% circular. So we're doing fine because that's only the new materials coming in. And we already reused the cellar, we reused the facades from the building, we reused the columns, and we reused the wood inside. So there's a lot of reuse we do in making such buildings. But we have to improve and learning on along. The next one is the biodiversity and climate adaptation. Last year, a new theme we are working on. We first need some measurements to know what's the position at the moment. So we do measurements about the flora, about the fauna, and we are using what you see underneath. It's named NL Green Label, and we use it to have a sort of dashboard to show us something about what's at the moment the situation. You see underneath, this is the dashboard from the Leiden Bioscience Park, and underneath you see we score a label say. Then you think, well, what's a label say? Well, it doesn't really matter. What's mattering is we have the ambition to get the A label in 2035. We planned to realize this, and we have to improve on all the 3 different elements in this annual green label. The first one is the biodiversity. We have 20% vegetation on the Leiden Bioscience Park. Well, that should be more. So we have to grow in this to be more, to have more biodiversity, and to change also, and to have more sorts of plants and year-round nectar, fruits, seeds, and so on. In the middle, you see the health. That's a nice one. They use the 3-30-300 rule, and the 3 is about you need to see 3 trees when you're looking outside. The 30 is about you need 30% shadow when you are outside, and so it doesn't get too hot everywhere. And the 300 is about you need to be in a green surrounding when you walk out the door from the building. So all these things are measured, and that's the let me see, that's the upper one from the health in the middle. They also measure the air quality, how much noise there is, and this is all coming from geodata they have. They use a lot of data already existing. They use Google Maps, everything, and our green label, and it's based on research done that this should work. The last one is there enough infrastructure to come to your work by bicycle or by public transport or something. The climate adaptation is about how dry, how hot, and how wet our campuses are. That's also measuring the climate atlas, also responding, giving these situations. And they, well, in the Leiden Bioscience Park, there are already a lot of buildings using green on top of the roof, or keeping the water they keep it and they infiltrate it in the ground, but slower. And what they have in overflow, then it's going later on the sewer. So adjustments to these things are already very much done in the Leiden Bioscience Park. Well, we have to make a strategy at the moment to work it out and to work to label A. We also have an annual green label for the inner city. We are a little bit lower in the label. There's a label D, and we don't have enough room to make progress or improvement, so maybe we can grow to a label C, we think. But this is all worked out at the moment, so we're still searching in how to make a roadmap to improve on these things on all the campuses. The only campus we don't take into account is The Hague. I'm so sorry, but The Hague, the buildings are hired, so we don't have that much influence to change things. And we do have on the buildings in the ground that's really from the university. So, that's the thinking. You see also on the upper line some pictures of the things that are changing. We make green rooftops underneath the solar panels. The Kamerling Honest building, that's already a green rooftop. We don't, but maybe it's going to get a green facade. But there are some problems working it out with the architect, but there's made parking in the Leiden Bioscience Park, and also there they make green on the rooftop. That's normal already for us. A wadi, we make a wadi to collect the water, to clean it, and then to put the overflow in the waters around again. And there's next to the disc in the Leiden Bioscience Park, there's a green park coming now, also building. The next one place you can really see what we try to invest is the parking. This is on the Leiden Bioscience Park. They call it Schilperoord Park. It's built, I think, 4 or 5 years ago. And then the next one, you see the difference. This is the park at the moment. So we really change things, but I still think we don't have enough green, but trying to get some more. Next. The last part I want to tell something about is the, we have some parkings also, a real estate department we are responsible for, and we do some measurements, how many people are coming to work by car, by public transport, and so on. So from 6,000 colleagues, there are only 11% using a car and going to work by car. So it's really less. So we don't have a lot of car parkings. Left on the upper, there's the 6 car parking we have. It's not going to change a lot, I think. So there's not a lot to tell about. The thing we want to improve is the bicycle parking. We have 3,000 places in the inner city, more than 5,000 places on the Leiden Bioscience Park, and in The Hague we are still counting, so I don't know the amount over there. And there's really improvement planned over there. For example, the Golees building, the bicycle park I told just before, it will come in September, 2,000 places more. In the Spui building, at the moment we are arranging this new Spui building in the campus The Hague. There also will become a lot of places in the building itself. And the next building we want to renovate is the Cluster North. It's the other one beside the University Library. On the other side of one side you have Hertemoor, then the library, and then you have Cluster North. And also there we can do some improvement for the bicycle parking. But we don't have a policy yet, so we trying to make also this year a policy in bicycle parking and these things. That's it. Are there any questions?
Do you guys have any historical buildings where you have struggles with allowance from the city to renovate or with energy use, and how do you guys deal with that?
Yes, a little, but the Arsenal is a monumental building that's renovated yet in 2020. The isolation is very thick, so you can sit in the window. You have, how is it called? You can sit in the window. It's very thick, the isolation, so you can see if you have ever been in the building. You can see it. And well, we use the BREEAM certificate when we do some big renovations or new buildings, And you have the legislation, what you have to do, and the BREEAM certificate, the way we work is showing what we do more than only legislation. And we try to get an excellent, that's 4 or 5 stars, and that you can say it's nearly 70% more in sustainability we do than only the legislation. In a monumental building, it's difficult, more difficult, and you see when we use the BREEAM certification, we only get 3 from 5 stars because it's not possible to get the excellent part. That is, how can I tell? When we do the demolishing and we want to use the iron parts somewhere else, you can't guarantee that it won't break or whatever. When you put it in new, you have guarantees from the producer that it's okay. So you need to look at all the parts and all the materials, and together with the architect, and to look if it's possible to use used materials also in that building. And it's even harder in a monumental, and the criteria you also have to perform for monumental building. Yes, that's true. Does it answer your question?
Somewhat, yeah. I think it's part of the struggle is just that there is a lot of hurdles, so that's not very possible.
Yeah.
Maybe I can reflect from my own experience living in a monument like this. It's probably a monument from the inside, from the outside, but also from the inside. So there are no ways of isolation to put on the roof or the windows because it's single glass. So it is what it is. What you can do is to go into other ways of heating, such as helping out wormhole for heat pumps, which is quite efficient compared to, for example, heating by gas. So there are possibilities, but it will never be, the excellent.
Yeah, but
I mean, it's very limited. Like a building like this, you can
no.
see it. There's not much room. It's just
This building is coming far in the route map we made because we don't know what to do over here.
Yes, this is really the challenge.
Yeah.
And also regarding, it can be too isolated, for example, then there's not enough fresh air, then you need a ventilation system which does not fit into the monumental status. It's a challenge. But what we see regarding regulation is that there is some kind of leeway into the interpretation of certain standards for monumental buildings, because otherwise they become kind of inhabitable or unusable. And it's kind of uneasy because we are working in it, or living.
Yeah. But it's technical. It's possible to make all the monumental buildings future-proof. Only it's searching the way how you do it. Do you want to keep the windows? Well, then you have to put something behind or whatever. But Sterrenwacht, we are going to change the windows, so we put triple glass. It's coming. So we try hard to find the mazes in the legislation to do so.
Well, do you want to keep the original glass or not? If you have a choice.
Here you want to keep it.
So there's no way
Yeah.
to do the monumental, sustainable proof glass into this window.
Yeah.
I think also companies are adapting to it. So there in the arsenal, there's also sustainable monumental glass, which is slightly thicker at the bottom and at the top. So it's new, but it looks old. So the market is
For my
adapting.
building where I live in, I'm not even allowed to change the glass.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Sometimes our project leaders don't always do things like legislation. Sometimes they do things that's maybe not, but we are always try to keep the building monumental in the way it is. So we don't want to change things or whatever. It's always in the mind of the monumental building. Yeah. 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 Well, in the university we try to use warm and cold from the ground. Okay, yeah. So that's we use it in the Leiden Bioscience Park. So the Gorlees building is using this system. The DISC is using the system. The new sports centrum is also going to be on this system. So we try to put more buildings. It's depending on the capacity, but it's still we have enough. And we have a new system in the inner city over here, and it's the Humanities Campus. So the Herta Moor building I showed, that's also on a geothermal system, and we want to part by part we want to put more buildings on this system. So it's first to get stable on the Herta Moor, and then the Arsenaal is coming onto it. Then maybe you can do the library using it. Maybe we can use it also for the Hortus. There's research done about the possibilities and also about how financial it will cost to join all these buildings on the system. But that's what we are using. And another thing we use is, well, sometimes you have in the inner city something like this. And in The Hague, all the buildings are, I don't know the English term for it, stadswarmte. Does someone know the English name for stadswarmte?
City heating.
Yeah, city heating. Yeah, so that's used in The Hague. So green energy? Well, that's at the moment still in research. So, well, the inner city, the monumental buildings are still using natural gas, and it's we are looking to the municipality what they are going to do in the inner city, and there it should, maybe it's there a possibility in future to all the buildings we can't put on the geothermal system. Maybe we have to reduce the gas there when this is possible, but it's research, and we are not we use financials only with innovations that are proven. So we don't try things with buildings that's not proven. So that's our policy. Yeah.
So there are also plans to connect Leiden to the harbor of Rotterdam, right? To use the heat that is produced there, or that's sort of left over, to transport it to Leiden area and to use it as a city heating also.
We are thinking a lot about it. It's more in the Leiden Bioscience Park. the park behind the motorway, A44. That part, it's all new buildings, so they can't use gas. And if they there are getting problems in net congestion problems when they all use electricity for heating. So the new buildings coming over there, they do have to think about can we use another way to get the warmth in the building. Yeah. So but it's still research, and it's well, the municipality of Leiden, they don't have a problem until 2030 in Leiden, so they're not taking part in this discussion to get it to Leiden Bioscience Park. So we have to do it like a university ourselves to make the discussions, or so it's hard and complex. Yeah. Yeah.
I think, considering the time, it would be best to move on. But thank you very much for your presentation. And if there's any further questions, then maybe we can ask those afterwards during the ballroom. And I do have.
Of course, you're taking up more than 2/3 of the time. So another part more about the practice of sustainability at the university from a faculty perspective. I'm working as a sustainability officer at the law faculty, or Leiden Law School to say. Oh, here you go. Let me introduce myself and my team. Well, the team is actually me and Jufraj, who is sitting here in the front row. And together we are the sustainability team, specially assigned to include and implement sustainability in our faculty. And we are not doing that alone. We have also facility manager helping out, reception, actually all the users of our building, but also our students and our staff who are doing the research and the education, of course, within our faculty. Next. Well, to give an idea, I think we all know the sustainability implementation agenda. I was once asked, I think that was in 2019, to have a brainstorm on how to implement sustainability in our university, and we had lots of sessions, and then we had COVID. So there was only, I think in 2021, this agenda was established. And it was, well, less ambitious than we discussed in 2019. But anyway, some nice things are in this agenda, and I think we should at least carry those less ambitious goals. Well, we should implement them. So you can find this implementation agenda on our website. Next, please. And I thought, okay, what are we actually doing at our faculty? Well, the most important things for me are education and research, because I'm a lecturer. I'm actually not a facility manager or something. So I wanted to focus first on education, because I think that's our primary task as a university. So not research, but education. But this picture is from the sustainability agenda, so I cannot change it. So what we did first is also to look at how can we implement it into our education. Well, we have lots of fields of law, but there is no such thing as the law on sustainability. We are a kind of a classical. Our faculty is organized along the classical ways, like civil law and penal law and international law, European law. And within these fields of law, of course, we have different sustainability issues, such as energy, as we discussed, or building regulation, My own expertise on international law are the environmental agreements between states, of course. Think about the Climate Change Framework Convention and many other international agreements. Our European law, think about the plastic regulation we have, the single-use plastic, so we have no straws anymore, etc. But also within civil law, subjects dealing with the Urgenda case, which is a civil law case on tort law. So all kinds of different things, and the thing is, nowadays it looks like if it's not visible, it's not there. Huh? You didn't take a picture? Well, it hasn't happened. Well, so the first priority was also to make visible what we already had. Well, how many subjects do you think we have? Courses in our law school? Take a guess. How many courses do we provide for? We have courses for over 1,300 students. These are the big introductory courses in the first year. And we have small courses, elective, with about maybe 20 students. But how many do we have? I didn't know before I started. 40? No way. That's only our curriculum, huh? Sorry? 250. More than 250 courses. So we made an inventory of all those courses, and what we actually wanted to do is to make clear how that should be visible in our perspective. Maybe, yeah. Oh, wrong order. Maybe the next slide. Yeah, here we go. So we actually went into those 250 courses and looked where there were some crossroads with the sustainable development goals to make it visible, and we found quite a lot. And then we identified it. We communicated with the lecturers. Do you also think that you are actually doing this before we are going to greenwash our courses? So that was one of the projects to make it really visible, and we published it. Well, there were some technical restraints because the university is doing things like standardization, etc. So you don't have the freedom to publish whatever you want in your course or in the prospectus. So we had to get around it, and so we did it on our own website. So we designed a website on sustainability at our law faculty, and we identified the courses and put that in. But of course, the ultimate goal is to make it visible in the prospectus. But, you know, that's a long way. Also, the university is quite bureaucratic, so it is what it is. But at least you can find now some courses on sustainability or including. Maybe one back. Another project where it all actually started is that two students did a challenge within the university, and they won the challenge, Student as Partners, it was called. And they had an innovative idea of teaching, and they set up the course Sustainability and Law by inviting guest lecturers from the university, but also outside the university around sustainability and law issues. So we are already now in our 6 years, and Jufraj and I were just inviting some nice speakers for next year, for November. So well, if you're a law student, it's really for law students. But for example, we try to get Hoekstra on the Green Deal, whether there is still a Green Deal, of course. Well, it seems to go the right way a little bit. Well, no, not the right way. That's too much. Anyway, but it's quite a success. But it's extracurricular, yeah. Yeah, it's really designed because we don't do kind of, you know, we acknowledge that you have a kind of a level in law. So we discuss, for example, case law, and you might not even know what case law is, you know? So, yeah. But, I mean, it's open, eh? It's open. You have to... If you send me an email, you can always join. Let's say it like that. Yeah, partly. It's partly organized. That's why I have also a student assistant. So we do the selection of the guest speakers together. And if anyone has a good idea, we're open to that. And we also do organized guest lectures outside of these lecture series, which is in the first semester. So 2 weeks ago, we had a guest lecture on ecocide. So I thought it was very interesting. It's a new proposal for new legislation in the Netherlands for the penal code on ecocide. And we invited the member of parliament that actually is working on the proposal. So, yeah. Next to that, I also organize student educational research projects, so it's all together. And this is my project on plastics. So what we do, we have a kind of a advisory function. We do research for NGOs working on plastic pollution and give legal advice. So we don't have that many clients, let's say like 2 or 3 a year, but it's always fun to do. And our last client was the Waddenvereniging, for example, regarding the loss of containers at the Waddenzee, and there was a lot of plastic pollution, and then they didn't get the information, and so we asked for it, and we did the legal procedure, which is called the WO, to get this information. And in the end, we got it. So, yeah, next. Yeah, then the sustainable campus. I thought, okay, let's skip this because we have Aranka. And as a lecturer, you know, I don't have that influence as Aranka has. So that's a really difficult thing. But what we do as students, but also as staff, we can notice things, and then we talk to the facility manager and so on. And to make a link, indeed, we have a green roof on our building, on our historical building, which is a kind of a nursery for all the seagulls, actually. I don't know if we want any more here in Leiden, but yeah, they are there. We are watching them. Next. Oh yeah, and then of course, being involved in plastic projects and working on plastic regulation in the EU, and knowing that we have to implement these into Dutch legislation, and in the end, it has to be implemented by the users. So one of those things was the single plastic cup. And I knew that it was coming, and I knew that the university had to make those steps, but the university was not really willing to, the catering department. So we thought about setting up an action and a kind of a protest by forcing them to do it and to do kind of a petition. And our dean was very welcoming it, so that was nice. And we also invited one of my clients, which is nice because he knows how to protest. This is the plastic soup server, and he studied in Leiden, and yeah, he's quite known in Leiden. So we set up an action, and then in the end, we did have this pilot on the Billy Cup, and then half a year later, they decided to do the Billy Cup in the whole of university. Maybe you've noticed the Billy Cups? Yeah, well, that started somewhere in 2020 or something, wasn't it? No, later, 22. Well, but it was a long way. So I think that is also the message from my presentation. If you want to accomplish it, it's a long way, but in the end, it works out. Yeah. So awareness and involvement is also part of the implementation agenda, and well, visibility, communication is one of those things, and we are working on. We designed the website. We're doing all kinds of other things. And yeah, the website. And then we have the Leiden Law blog, where we have this special dossier on sustainability issues, which students and staff can actually write on if they are researching certain things. So last year, or 2 years ago, one of the students that won the thesis prize of our law faculty was on a sustainability issue. So, you can invite her to write a blog, and it's, it can be your first publication in your career. So it's always nice to do this. Next. We have a green team, thanks to LUGO, and also active people at our university, students. They are organizing activities, and that's helping us out. So in 2019 or 20 it was, I felt a little bit alone, but the community is growing at the law faculty, so that's really nice. And one of our latest projects is Bin Your Bad. This is in particular about awareness raising of our students about plastic pollution. But of course it could have been also another subject. But this was also really involving our own faculty, because it were our students and our staff that were causing the plastic pollution by cigarette butts in front of our building and our offices. So we thought about hiring a bureau that was specialized in nudging campaigns and about awareness and designed specially on the target group. So with all our ideas, we had quite a big group of people that were involved in designing the campaign. And they came up with this, and first I thought, well, that's a bit maybe childish or whatever, but everybody liked it. and so we implemented, and now for 2 weeks we have actually launched the campaign. And since then, we recorded 70% less cigarette butts around our building. So it's quite an accomplishment after 2 weeks. So we are working on, of course, 100%. You have to set the target really high. And anyone interested, spread the word. Or spread the butt? No, spread the cut. And people can actually hop on the caravan of this campaign and get all the materials and ideas. So I already had a question about it. It's a concept, so it's not just one thing. So it's really worked out and really tested on the target group, students that smoke, because here we all have probably very environmental friendly and sustainable students, but I can assure you, most law students are not very interested in those sustainability issues. They study law and they want to be a corporate lawyer in Amsterdam and make a lot of money. Not all. But it's not intrinsically motivated, like if you study biology or something, it's different. So this is the target group, is those people that are not motivated themselves to do this. And it seems to work. Yeah, Connie? Well, the main thing is money. Because anything that you see costs money. One back, please. Because you need an ashtray. You need paint, you need a website, you need time, you need stickers. Not lots of money, but at least you need some money and some commitment. You need to identify the problem. Is it a problem of you or of us, of our municipality? Of course, you could also say, well, it's not at my building because we are smoke-free, the whole university, all campuses, but it's just outside. So let the municipality do it. But the municipality says no priority. We have other priorities at the moment. So commitment, and then a little bit of money. Yeah. Very practical, huh? Yeah.
So are these bins like normal trash bins?
Yeah. Well, these with the stickers, bin your butt with the walking cigarette butt, that one, the gray one or brownish, that was already existing. So we didn't want to put in new ones because we had those. And then we also looked at, do we need more? And we, if you see the students in little groups smoking, then at least you need more than 2. So those, the ballot bin, as we call it, these are new.
That's just for cigarettes?
Yes, just for cigarettes. And the other one is the trash bin, which has been stickered. Yeah.
And what's that on the right? On the right of the gray trash bin or top right corner?
Yeah, that was already there, but nobody knew. It's an ashtray.
Ah, so that's an ashtray.
Yeah, it's an ashtray. Yeah. So we kind of stickered it with as a cigarette butt, and now it's visible.
And how does that work with laws about no smoking on campuses where?
It's outside of our campus.
Oh, okay. And have you done this inside of any of the campus grounds?
No, of course not, because you're not allowed to smoke. So it's really outside of the campus.
But what about
You need a lot of coverage because municipality doesn't allow us to do this. Well, yeah, no, they tell me you can't do this, but I'm a lawyer, so I say, well, sue me. So, no, I mean, you cannot facilitate smoking, of course, within your campuses because it's forbidden to smoke in the campus ground, yeah? So, but you're not, you're allowed to smoke at the street. So what happens? Everybody's smoking at the street, just outside the campus.
Because we have some campuses with outdoor spaces at a different university.
Yeah.
And everybody still smokes. It's not regulated, but we can't collect the ashtray. We can't collect the cigarettes because there's a no smoking policy.
Yeah.
And that would mean admitting that people smoke.
Yeah.
Instead you just have cigarettes.
Yeah. But yeah, you cannot provide with ashtrays on the university campuses. That's indeed forbidden. Because in our laws in the Netherlands, it says that you cannot facilitate smoking. If you would provide ashtrays within your facility or on your campus, that would mean it would facilitate smoking. So you can only do it outside.
And what about these directive pictures to normal trash cans?
I think it's the same, because if you really say, okay, here you can bin your butt, it means that you're kind of allowing them to do this. Yeah. So it has to be outside. Yeah, that's an issue.
And we are not allowed also to have groups around the ashtray standing there, smoking there, just behind our non-smoking area. So there's a lot of rules we have to take.
Yeah. Well, there is only one rule. It says that you cannot facilitate smoking. Actually, there are 2 rules. So the campuses and university buildings are smoke-free. And then the next rule is you should not facilitate smoking. That's the rule. So that was actually also quite a change, because we used to have smoking facilities within our building, smoking corners for staff, more or less. Yeah.
And how did you get the money from the university? It was a contradictory.
Well, not from the university, but from our own department, from our faculty. So part of the awareness raising campaign on communication and sustainability issues, the implementation agenda, it says that we have to build on awareness raising on sustainability issues. Well, this was one. So yeah.
If there are no further questions, then I would like to thank you very much
Okay.
for the presentation.
Thank you.
see you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
And then for our last presentation of today, we have James van Veen, who is going to be telling us a little bit more about the catering specifically. And that was a project done by the Leiden Leadership Program, but I think you'll introduce it a bit further. But yeah, he'll basically present the survey that they did, the results, and kind of the steps that we can take as LUGO, but also beyond that, what can the university community do?
Yes, thank you, Jitske. I'm just placing the laptop here. Originally, students from the LLP program, Leiden Leadership Program, were supposed to present this, but at the last moment, they didn't show up, so I'm going to be presenting it on their behalf. So yeah, I'll be talking about the catering at Leiden University, the perceptions around the catering, what the university community expects from the catering, and how we can maybe make some positive change within the catering at Leiden University. But first, to start off, I wanted to know what you guys think of the catering at Leiden University. So for that, I have a little woo clap, which doesn't seem to be working. Oh, okay. Apologies for this. Maybe somebody from the audience would like to think of the first word they think of when they think of the university catering. What's the first word you think of? Would anyone like to share anything? Unsustainable. There we have one. Anyone else? Not many vegan options, yeah?
Ultra-processed.
Ultra-processed? Not quite tasty? Okay. Not local. I see quite a few complaints. So we'll skip this part then. And what we wanted to do is we at LUGO, we were working together with the catering department, but we wanted to find some evidence as to what the university community thinks about the catering, because we have this perception, and a lot of people complain about the catering also towards LUGO, but we don't have the hard evidence. So what we did as LUGO, because we as 6 student assistants were quite busy, we teamed up with the Leiden Leadership Program, and were joined by 3 master students who investigated this assignment for us. So we really wanted to know what was the perception of the university catering. So what these students did, they set up 2 research questions. The first one being, what do students and staff expect from the catering at the university in terms of sustainability? And how can LUGO take a leadership role in helping make the university's catering more sustainable? So this was a bit of their project scope. They conducted some interviews, namely with the sustainability department of the university, also with the catering department, with the facility department, as well as with some students and staff members. So we also conducted and evaluated a university-wide survey. We sent out this survey on promotional channels. We got over 450 respondents from students and staff across all faculties. So I feel like that's quite a good database to get some results from. And then the students also did a bit of research about how LUGO can take a leadership role based on these results and take the next steps to make some positive change. So, interview results. First, the students conducted some interviews. Some of the main results that came from the catering department were the expenses of plant-based products. Now, the catering department works with a supplier, and that's often in a fixed term. That also leads on to the next point of long-term contracts. It's not easy to make changes within the supplier, and so the costs of non-vegan items or non-sustainable options are a bit lower than those that are more sustainable, and thus it's really difficult for them to implement these changes. This is what this is their opinion, and this is what they stated. So the catering kind of prioritized, because they have to turn a profit as well, they prioritize profitability over sustainability. So there are some challenges there within the catering department to strengthen sustainability. And it's not like they are completely unwilling to do it, but they are financially limited to do that. So yeah, with these long-term contracts, one contract at a given period of time is set up for 5 years. So that means that the catering company is kind of stuck with the same supplier for 5 years, and we can ask the supplier if they have a sustainable options, but if these cost a lot more than the non-sustainable options, then most likely the catering department will pick these non-sustainable options to ensure that they can still turn a profit at the end of the year. What we also noticed, and what the catering department kind of indicated, is that there's a lack of communication and collaboration between LUGO and the catering department, and that there is a lot more potential also for more contact between the university community and the catering department. So it's kind of disenfranchised or disconnected within the university, because the catering department is run by the facilities department, and it's almost a separate part of the university in some sense. So there's definitely some room for improvement on working together and collaborating. So yeah, we did a survey. More than 450 people answered this survey, and one of the questions we asked were, what are the main priorities when making your food choices? Now, I don't know if you can all read it, but the biggest bar, which is the purple one, indicates price. So 343 people indicated that they're most motivated by price when, that's their main priority when making food choice, followed by taste, nutritional value, and dietary preferences. And at the fifth place, we have sustainability. That means that sustainability is not at the forefront currently. When people make choices in the catering, sustainability is not at the forefront of their mind, and they don't always consider that first. So this shows kind of the complexity of the challenge as well in making it more sustainable. We also asked, we want to improve the, oh yes, go ahead. For dietary preferences, I imagine it does include those options. Definitely, that's a good point to consider. Because the students did the research, I'm not exactly quite sure whether they considered those factors, but I imagine that also plays a role. So, in that sense, then 1/3 of people would also consider these dietary preferences. That would also mean it's more sustainable in the catering.
James, can I ask?
Yes.
I'm a bit surprised that sustainability scores higher than ethical considerations, assuming then that ethical consideration means also like animal abuse.
Mm-hmm.
Was this expected, do you think? Or because I think the first association most people, I think, have with vegetarian food is actually animal abuse and maybe not sustainability like the ecological part.
Yeah, no, it is a bit surprising. It might be also down to the lack of clarity of what is meant with ethical considerations. Maybe that's not always a clear term for everybody. And the fact that you could pick 3 out of this list, and I think maybe then it just shows that the priority with sustainability is such an encompassing term, and maybe that just it leads people to pick sustainability a little bit more. But it's only speculation what I'm saying here. I can't really be sure in that sense. So then we wanted to see what we could do to improve the priority when you pick a food option, and how to improve the consideration of sustainability within that. So we thought of introducing food choice logos, and the survey showed that the majority of participants strongly agreed with that, introducing these food choice logos, and that would influence their food choices. We also asked the question, would you like to see more plant-based and sustainable food options at the catering facilities in Leiden University? Well, half of the people answered yes, and then another quarter or 30% answered maybe, and the remaining 25% answered no. Then we come to question 11, which said, do you agree that the plant-based food options at Leiden University are well priced? Well, not surprisingly, a lot of respondents disagreed with this. I think it's a complaint we receive often at the Green Office. And we also asked, because the catering department indicated that if they made some of their options more sustainable, that the customer would have to pay more. We also asked if the variety of the food options increased, so meaning that there would be more sustainable options, more vegan options, would you be willing to pay more for plant-based food options? The majority of respondents answered no. And this just showed that the price of the current catering is just too high. So analysis, based on these results, the price of food needs to come down first before we even really consider sustainability. But how we want to tackle is simultaneously. So ideally, the price of sustainable options becomes lower than non-sustainable options. We also considered that implementing sustainable food choice logos would be good to increase the awareness of making sustainable choices. But we also needed to consider that there might be some bias in the survey results, considering we as the Green Office mainly spread it around. And people that know the Green Office are often more sustainability minded. So it's just good to consider this might not be purely representative of the university community. But we were thinking, what can LUGO do? So we would like to increase communication with UFB Catering. and work together to address the issues regarding catering. We want to also, oh yes, go ahead.
I'm from catering.
Oh yes.
Catering. I like to please come because it's the first time I see this
Oh yeah.
presentation, and I'm very interesting because I like that way of thinking and everything, and I like to pronounce you all to come to me to talk about it.
Okay, yeah.
There's not any problem.
Okay. No.
I'm just curious, this because you said that this interview, there's a lot of people. I think they did this interview. They work or they like sustainability very well. I think. And we have also other. I don't know if you really ask people for it, or just ask them to fill it in, or just you go to people to ask to fill it in.
Well, for the interview.
Yes.
Oh, for the interview, yeah, we approach people and arrange an interview. Well, the students arrange an interview and then ask guided questions and specific questions. I think they had an interview with Lucien from the catering department. Yeah. But yeah, nice to hear that you're open for collaboration and open for this feedback. And yeah, nice to know also you're here in the audience seeing these results. Okay, yeah, so then we also thought we could maybe be a bit more involved in the new tender, which is coming up for the catering supplier, and seeing how we could make steps to making that a bit more sustainable. Yeah, we've thought also to gain feedback, insights, and remarks from the university community to increase pressure on UFB, and maybe pressure is not the right word, but also to increase collaboration and to increase the insights for UFB to know what the university community expects from the catering and what they want.
One thing, UFB is just faculty, something. The catering is really for the university. Catering, so it's really open to. It's not UFB. It sounds like it's part of a community. It's not. Catering is really for the university. Not
Yeah.
So please open that mind. I hope.
Yeah. No, definitely, good point. Yeah, and I was also thinking. Well, we were also thinking as students in the next sustainability implementation agenda, we could set a specific targeted goal to reduce the amount of non-sustainable options by a certain amount. Currently, we do have these goals, but they're not linked to numbers and not linked to certain targets. So we need to be more specific in these targets and set ambitious targets into what we would like to achieve, maybe in terms of a CO2 footprint, in terms of a meat-free campus, or other options. And yeah, and that's also what I was thinking as a green office, where we stand for, we have vegan catering here, and we always stand for vegan and vegetarian food. We also thought about maybe starting petitions for meat-free campuses. I know some universities have started goals and set ambitions to have a meat-free campus by a certain year. And if that's also what the community here wants, we could definitely set that in motion and get the ball rolling as a green office. So I was also wondering, and of course my survey doesn't seem to work, but I was wondering, what do you think you as community members can do to help this transition if you would like to see more sustainable options in the catering? Do you guys have any ideas as what would be suitable? Go ahead, Jitske.
So maybe being a bit more proactive in that way to contact either LUGO or people directly.
Yeah, go ahead.
And also for me, I think because I did also some students did also looking at for me for what can I do better. Also for the leadership program, and they told me a lot about training people. Or making them think about it. Because you said that you want a big community, but you have a big community. For example, I have for 1 week, I have no meat. I had almost 50% of the people were very angry with me because I had 1 week no meat. So it's still in a lot of people's minds, students and employees, they have to have choices. And maybe we should provide them to do the right choices. And not by not having the food, but by providing the information, like you did programming, like the science and everything, just to make people think about it more. Even my people, my employees, I have 52 people working for me in catering, and I think, to be honest, I think 70%
Mm-hmm.
But also for people who's working for me, but also who's working on the company, on the university, but also the students. If you go to the Beta campus, if I do no meat, if I have no snacks, they kill me.
Yeah, yeah. No, no,
For example, and that's the big part, and then yeah,
You're still there.
yeah, because I believe in something. I like to give everybody good food.
No, I know also during the week without meat and dairy, also in my building where I work, I did hear a lot of people complaining as well, and the freedom of choice is also a real important factor in Leiden. So yeah, it is also, we want to of course be more sustainable, but yeah, it's a difficult balance to strike. Yeah.
For me too.
Yeah.
I need to make sure everybody is happy, and everybody can have some food they want.
Yeah, yeah.
Even though maybe it's not always the right food.
Yeah.
Maybe it's also a matter of reframing, because we talk about a week without meat, and to me it doesn't sound attractive because it's something less. I think we should also focus on what's instead and what is cool about it, what's nice about it. So I really make it like the Be Your Best campaign. I think it's an excellent example of making something cool and nice and really attuned to the sort of younger generation. Something you can identify yourself with. And I think now, especially in catering, at least in our building, the week without meat was just announced with a sort of very boring, sorry that I say it like this, but a very boring white print paper on a small stand, and I actually hardly saw it. So it's
It was also on the website. It was also on the
I know.
Yeah.
I think that would be my action actually to go to the communication department and actually ask to make it more attractive and more cool.
Yes, go ahead.
I just wanted to quickly add, as the Hague student, I already see that, let's say, lamb strips and stuff, they are cheaper than meat options. So that is already enough for me. Like, I like meat, I eat meat.
Mm-hmm.
I would be shocked if one day I would come and see no meat on campus at all. So I completely understand what you're talking about. From things which I would like to change is about the bidder cups.
Mm-hmm.
I sincerely hate them, but also I see that the communication is that when you pay for the coin, you receive the coin back, and then like there are really many people who have disaccumulated coins, like 5 more, and then they just get lost, and then you just pay for plastic this week. You cannot return the coin.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the big problem that can be solved also.
You can return the money. Yes, you have €1 discount for one coin.
I didn't hear about this.
It's next to the cashier. You see, there's also in the yes.
Is it possible, because you pay for it like €2 or something, can you return it and it's €2 back?
No, I cannot return money. I can only return discount.
For this is something university does.
Sorry?
For this is something university does.
Yes. That's only for one product, one coin. So if you have 5 coins, you have 5 times discount. €1.
€1, that's really sweet.
You cannot pay it.
And you buy usually the cup.
If you buy you buy one cup, you get, if you want, you get 1 coin back. You can return them constantly. And if you have too many coins, just give a coin per product, and you get 1 discount per product.
And I think this shows the strength of communication as well, and coming together, and then sometimes there's solutions you don't actually know about within the university. Yeah. Okay.
Well, I think you can also choose a policy. You buy meat, vegetarian, vegan, whatever. The price we have in the catering is our own choice, I think. So I don't know if it's possible to do something over there to make the vegan and the vegetarian part more cheaper.
It is. The
Well,
vegetarian is
not in my
if you have meals, if you have a meal, there is they have 2
So
Mhm.
maybe that's a nice experiment to do.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So, I mean, the true pricing idea is that meat is indeed more expensive.
Mhm.
Include those costs for the environment.
Yeah, yeah.
And maybe there is some step in between. You know, we all do kind of baby steps with biological or organic stuff, meat.
Mhm.
You know, for those people that really cannot do without meat.
Yeah, yeah. No, and I think
That's also an option, maybe.
I think yeah, if you implement organic and or biological meat, then the price will go up of the meat items as well, and then you have that effect where the more sustainable options might be cheaper than the meat options as well. Yeah. Any other comments or questions? Okay. Well then, thank you very much for listening. I'll pass it back over to Remya.
Thank you for presenting on behalf of the LLP student team. And once again, thank you all for attending this sustainability symposium today, the first organized by Leiden University Green Office. So today we basically started with a working group session with green offices from all over the country where we shared best practices and challenges and worked on them together. And then we had a session by Dario Fazzi on the use of VR in environmental education, followed by the two recent sessions about sustainability in real estate, the law faculty, as well as catering. And it was really nice to see a lot of very insightful discussions and opinions being shared here today. And thank you for your active participation. And if you'd still like to continue these conversations, we have a Boral downstairs till 5 o'clock. So hope to see you there. If you'd like to stay tuned with what events we have in the future, do follow us on social media, which you can see on our banner. And yeah, we still have quite a lot of merch left. So if you'd like to check them out, please do so. Thank you again for coming and have a nice day.
Thank you.
because